So here we'll begin the third part of behavioral ecology before we move more into populations and communities. And we've talked about innate behavior and learned behavior. So now we're going to look at social behavior. Obviously, it gives us a great opportunity to have a picture of bears. So there's that. And social behavior is just interactions between individuals in a given area. It could be aggression, like you see here. Maybe they're not being aggressive, but they probably are. It could be a courtship kind of thing. And so there's lots of different social behaviors. Let's look at a few. There's cooperative behavior, which here's our favorite couple, Hershey and Chase, who weren't a couple. They just cooperated. They worked as a team and they came up with something really important. And so not only do you see this in our own species, but you see this in many other species cooperating with one another to achieve a required or a necessary type of result. And then there's agonistic behavior. Agonistic behavior are like tests of strength or aggression. This is like these two rams butting heads with one another in order to secure a mate or some territory. You think of Lion King and Scar and Simba fighting over the pride, which was kind of strange if you think about it. And this usually has to do with submission, some sort of reconciliation of instead of death. These are uh, good for a species to determine the strongest, but it wouldn't be good for everyone to be dying because of this. And so that's typically these kinds of contests typically don't end in death. Another type of social behavior is dominance hierarchy, or often called pecking order. And this is where you have like an alpha in the group, like an alpha male or alpha female, and then there's pecking order right after that. There's beta and gamma and delta and so forth. And some even have way down the list. If you get a group of chickens, if there's a group of 8 chickens, there's a number 8 chicken, rest assured. And this is where we get this idea of pecking order. A lot of species demonstrate this. There's territoriality. This is where a individual or a group of individuals have a particular territory that they defend based on food or mating rights or water. Could be any other different kinds of reasons that will mark their territory with some sort of chemical usually or sign to show this is our territory and not yours, and other animals recognize that and may on purpose go into that territory to cause conflict. And then there's courtship behaviors. Courtship behaviors are obviously the goal here is to reproduce, but courtship behaviors also are trying to find a potential mate and to judge the competition for that mate. And so they often involve these elaborate kind of rituals, which we will talk about more in the future. But it's usually where you have a group of males competing for a female or a group of females even competing for a male. You get the idea. There are lots of different kinds of courtship relationships in the wild. Here are three. There are the promiscuous kinds where you like cats are a great example, where everyone is mating with everyone else. The advantage here is it increases relative fitness, but the disadvantage is that there's not much parental investment, so survival can be low. Even though cats are mammals and do have a higher survival, still lower than you'd expect for the number of offspring. Monogamy is where it's one with one, and the advantage here is increased parenting, but the disadvantage is that's kind of the opposite of the promiscuous, where you have um, there's a lower relative fitness because it's just one set of genes. Now you'd expect there to be some competition there, but you get the idea. And polygamy is where one is mating with many. You can have a system in which there is many females, that is called polygyny, or you can have many females with one male, like you see here with those seals, that one bull male with all those females, or you can have polyandry, which is where you have many males and one female. This would be like bees. Signaling is very important in social behavior. This is where animals will communicate with one another. Bee dancing is a great example. Wolves howling in order to communicate something, wherever they howl. usually to locate one another. And so howling is a great example. Bee dancing, I mean, we're very familiar with animal communication just from the sounds they make. And lastly is the behavior of altruism. And altruism is a behavior that is self-sacrificing, kind of like the worker bees working for the whole colony, or a mother bear fighting for the lives of her cubs when a large male comes around, that kind of thing. Typically, this is done to protect kin. That is called kin selection, in order to protect the nearest of kin, but it could be a larger scale kind of thing as well.